Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar, run through the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days as it continues to look fairly unsettled in the west, but still really quite warm as we head towards Halloween and the start of November. We could still see days where temperatures do get in excess of the mid-teens, potentially even 20 degrees as we head towards this weekend. So yeah, very warm next few days coming, as we have alluded to over the last week or two. As we head through into November though, as we'll see on the GFS, GEM, Eastern WF and the ensembles, things are looking a little bit cooler and more westerly dominated. It does look likely though the winds will veer, as I said, from a westerly direction, meaning the air masses will be cooler, it will be actually more widely unsettled. That rain will be pushing from the west to east, giving more rain widely, keeping things really quite unsettled. But yeah, it's not turning anything majorly cold, just really towards average, which will feel quite chilly compared to what we have had recently. But that will be happening probably come next week into the first few days of November. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well. The link's in the description. So you start on the live radar, you can see there's quite a few heavy showers around. Some of these really quite heavy, torrential, maybe even thundery, with some of these across parts of the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, and Northern England to Scotland. But they are fairly scattered, but quite large when they do occur. They're again mainly across the north and the west. Further south and eastwards, a few patchy areas of rain, but nothing too much at all. But yeah, it's remaining fairly unsettled, and it's a pretty lull period at the moment, as I'm recording this around 3:30, 4 p.m. With not too much precipitation around. But there will be another batch of precipitation moving up from the south over the course of this evening into tomorrow. So yes, more widespread rainfall is going to be arriving after heavy rain last night as well. If you go over to the temperatures, as of around 3:30, you can see those temperatures are quite warm. Look at those, all these yellows and tingy areas of orange as well, showing those temperatures getting into the mid to high teens, maybe even touching 20 degrees in some sheltered areas. So yeah, really quite warm out there. Temperatures you'd expect in September, or temperatures you'd expect of April, May time, not towards the end of October and potentially start of November. A good 2, 3, 4 weeks late of where you sort of expect these sort of conditions. It's sort of, as I said, early to mid-September sort of conditions, not late October into early November. So yeah, it is really warm out there. Again, not record breaking or anything. Of course, we've reached 29 degrees in October before, but these sort of high teens, low 20s persistently, that is what is so exceptional, how we're just keeping these pushes of warm southerly winds. Now, if we do go over to the UKV and have a look at what they're showing over the next couple of weeks in terms of precipitation, you can see all that heavy rain that spread through earlier this morning. You can see this afternoon just a ray of showers further northwards and westwards. And over the course of this evening into tomorrow, heavy rain pushes back in another pulse of persistent rain, again, mainly in the west. Parts of the Republic of Ireland, Northern Ireland, western parts of England, Wales and Scotland. It will eventually push through by tomorrow afternoon. It's quite a cloudy day, patchy rain across Scotland and Northern England, but elsewhere it is fairly dry. As we head into Friday, more heavy rain pushes through in the morning, quite squally areas of rain along this and real heavy in places, pushing in, so it could be really unsettled with this. And by the mid-afternoon, it does clear with sunny spells, so it looks like a much better Friday afternoon. Showers still across parts of the Republic of Ireland, and into the evening, it does look like another batch of rain will move up from around early hours in the south, giving widespread rain. Again, far east does miss out, but most areas will see persistent rain dropping quite a big area, quite a lot of rainfall there, especially over higher ground, for eventually dissipating away, and then another batch of rain through Saturday afternoon into the evening, again mainly in the west, before eventually things start to veer more westerly as we head into next week. But Halloween at this stage, you can see there, for the early hours at least, it's not too bad, but I suspect there will be showers and probably rain around at times. The reason for all this is because of those upper air temperatures. Look, mid to high single digits, if not getting towards double digits at times. Those insanely warm air masses producing the warmer surface conditions, but also producing the heavy rainfall as well. These persistent pulses of rain. Whenever we get any instability, any little areas that can produce rainfall, it gets pepped up by all this warmth and moisture within the atmosphere. And you can see by Halloween, we are veering the winds more in from the west, so more towards average of the air masses, but still warm air to our south. If you look at the 2 metre temperatures, you can see this afternoon temperatures peaking around that 18, 19, maybe even 20 degree range in the east. Into tomorrow, those temperatures once again will rise to around 18 to 20 degrees, very warm again, temperatures peaking across the East Midlands into East Anglia. And as we head into Friday, again, you can see those temperatures rising once again into the mid-teens, maybe slightly cooler with more rain around in the north and the west, but south and the east, still 17 or 18 degrees. And into Saturday, again, you can see those temperatures again, maybe even peaking at 20 degrees there before cooler air does start to slide in from the north and the west. And you can see by Sunday, still warm, slightly cooler further westwards, mid-teens, maybe low teens, still high teens in East Anglia. And I do suspect it will be cooler on Halloween. Again, not cold by any means, but maybe towards the mid-teens maximum as we do start to spread those winds in more from the west. So do now go over to the GFS and see what that is showing over the next couple of weeks. You can see the winds veering up from the south at the moment to continue to be a southerly push all the way into the start of next week. But eventually, through Halloween, we eventually see low pressure move through, so it could be quite an unsettled Halloween before the winds veer from a westerly. Watch those isobars coming all the way from northeast Canada, so more of a westerly flow and colder air masses in general. We stay with these westerly flows. Yes, there could be slight tilts to the south at times before approaching lows, but generally it is very westerly and remaining fairly unsettled as well. And we'll be able to see this by having a look at the air masses. You'll have a look at the average VHP temperatures, very warm over the next few days, lots of dark oranges and reds, before eventually in the longer term more yellows and greens pushing in. Still warmer air masses at times, but more yellows and greens, showing it slightly cooler air masses, below average upper air temperatures at times, but nothing crazy cold, just generally very unsettled with things in from the west. Typical autumnal pattern. But as we have looked, as we have seen in the winter look aheads, we are expecting to see some blocking in November. That's at least what the longer range models have been forecasting for the last couple of weeks. So yeah, expecting some very interesting charts perhaps in the next week or two with some amplification of the jet stream, some blocking. We're not seeing anything like that as of yet, but perhaps in the next week or two. Now, if you go over to GM, see how that does compare over the next 10 days. Again, a southerly flow at the moment. Westerly winds eventually win out after Halloween into the first few days of November and staying in from a flat westerly. Quite unsettled as well and turning cooler. Yes, there will be walls of big area of more moist air that will pep up the rain, but it is only a temporary air mass. It will be transitional with colder air filling in behind it. So yeah, definitely looks like we will have warmer air masses in the longer term, but it will be oscillating between colder air masses, and overall we're going to be back towards sort of average conditions for the first full week of November. So yeah, looking very interesting moving forward, and of course blocking potential does still look likely through November. We just have to keep an eye if we do start to see that in the shorter or mid-range models. If we do go over to the ECMWF, see how that does compare over the next couple of weeks. Again, southerly wind pushing in at the moment, and then the westerly flows move in, and you can see it is veering in from the west to northwesterly even, so cool upper air temperatures. You can see a little bit of high pressure up towards Scandinavia, which is diverting the jet stream further southwards, keeping the whole of the country quite unsettled and fairly chilly. So interesting seeing that. Again, nothing crazy, but slight deviation in the jet stream, even seeing there at day 10 from the ECMWF. And of course the air masses eventually get those warm air gets pushed away, and we go more towards average, maybe even slightly below average at times. And you can see that by looking at the temperature deviation, still a bit of yellows, a bit of blue, so around average, but oscillating between above average and maybe below average. If we do go over to the ensembles, you can see it's really well reflected, generally well above average for the next sort of 5 days. As we head into early November, it becomes more unsettled for London with the winds coming in from the west. And look, the upper air temperatures are generally around average, sometimes below, sometimes above. The operational GFS, definitely more above, with the jet stream shifted slightly further northwards, but majority of the ensemble members and majority of the other models, we've had a look at the GM and the ECMWF, have the jet stream position further southwards. So we are in slightly cooler air. But you can see there, persistent average upper air temperatures, so it will be cooler at times, it could be milder at times as well, and big precipitation spikes as well, showing it's going to remain fairly unsettled. And the big thing we have to keep an eye on is the 2 meter temperature. It really is going to drop away over the next week. You can see over the next sort of 3 or 4 days persistently in London, we're going to be reaching 18, 19, 20 degrees, but come the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of November, drops down more towards 14, 15, and come around the 9th, 10th, 11th of November, down towards 9, 10, 11 degrees, much cooler. So a good 5 to even 10 degree temperature drop coming over the next week or two. It's expected. This is the time of year where we are rapidly cooling down, but we are well above average at the moment. Just trending towards average can be a very big drop. And if we did see below average temperatures come the middle of November, temperatures down into the mid to low single digits, at times if we did see a very cold air mass move in, we'd be seeing a 15 plus degree temperature drop in the daytime highs in the space of only a few weeks, which would be really quite exceptional this time of year. So we'll just have to see what happens. But yes, it's going to feel considerably colder in the next week or two. Not because we're seeing anything ridiculously cold, but it's just because we're trending more towards average. We are rapidly cooling down anyway this time of year, and we are well above average at the moment. All three of those things combining means we're going to have a 5 to 10 degree temperature drop in the daytime temperatures. So if you are at the moment, got your coats out, you will be definitely needing them in the next couple of weeks. Hats and gloves maybe even in come middle of November, when we start to see the potential for frosts under higher pressure returning. And if we do finish briefly by having a look at the ECMWF ensembles, now the midnight run again hasn't fully come out, but the midday run from yesterday has, and you can see generally well above average at the moment, trending more towards average and high precipitation, so very, very similar to the GFS. So it does look likely it's going to remain fairly mild, fairly warm for the next few days. Into early November though, literally as we move into the 1st, 2nd, 3rd of November, it's going to be turning much, much cooler, temperatures returning towards average, and the precipitation signal will pick up with the winds coming in from the west, meaning precipitation bands will be moving across the whole country, and it does look likely, as I said, to be unsettled and cool. So anyway, thanks for watching, hope you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.